I know these conversations ain't fun, man. I guess fortunately for me, I was raised having this conversation because I was raised in a racially diverse home. I had a Jewish mother, a black father. My black father was a 3-time felon. I only knew the black side of my family because my mom's side of her family didn't really mess with me because I was black. So I was raised into this racially diverse, racially charged, separatist,
discriminating
environment, but then having to reconcile it and find my way and not go crazy and let it take me off my square.
Yeah, because for a lot of us who were raised in, in inner city,
homogenous homes.
Yeah, or inner city neighborhoods where it became the norm. Racism becomes a norm, and it's sad because you kind of get used to it. You expect it. It's sad, but it's true. Sometimes you're like, okay. So it's really interesting to see her experiments and to see other people reacting to it.
And in America, we have layers. Not everything is racism. Some of it is classism. Right? Because you even have people who treat people badly because they make less money.
Absolutely.
Within their same race.
On their block. You know what I mean? So there's so many layers to it. And the only way, look, if you're in a healthy, loving relationship with a man or a woman, or man, woman, whatever healthy, loving scenario you're in, if you have issues in your relationship, what do? You talk about it. And if you don't talk about them, they fester and the relationship ends.
Yeah.
So if you want the relationship to survive and we want our society and our country to survive, then we're going to have conversations.
We're getting great feedback.
And we're going to have to get on the same page. Go ahead, Laura.
No, I said we're getting great feedback on social media at Ebro in the AM and at Hot 97. It's flooded with tweets, people thanking us because they saw, for a lot of people, Jane Elliott is brand new. It's new to them, so they saw the clips that are floating around on Instagram. So they're learning a lot. So I think it's great that we're having conversations.
She's been having this conversation for 48 years. Just wrap your brain around that.
Right.
She's been having it she's 83 years old. So we're going to have yet another conversation tomorrow. Hot 97, WBLS, WLIB, working with City Hall and the mayor's office to have de Blasio or somebody from his office, working with Commissioner Bratton to have a spokesperson from them, so that myself, Hezekiah Walker, Lisa Evers, Rosenberg, Shayla, and many others, as well as we're taking your tweets and questions. You can hashtag OneVoice. We'll find your question. We're going to have a conversation live on the radio tomorrow because there's several layers to this. There is police brutality. That's one conversation. There's racism. That's another conversation. Then there's police who are racist. That's another conversation. Right? These are separate conversations. So we're going to hope to break the hour that we're dedicating to this tomorrow up into these conversations. But here for us here in New York City, police brutality and police not being held accountable is an issue we've been dealing with for decades.
Yeah.
And it's come to a head here recently with Eric Garner, right? And Akai Gurley, where we have systems in place in this city to where we have people who can keep an eye and make sure our police officers are handling their business right, because we got to have a checks and balance system so that everyone is held accountable for their actions. And so we want to get an update from our mayor and the police department on those systems that have been recently put in place. So that's going to be a part of the conversation. What systems do we have in place? The man, the road rage incident over there in Brooklyn the other day, where the police officer was off duty, said this guy jumped out of his car and was punching him.
Right.
Well, guess what the camera found? That the police officer was lying. And that the police officer, as soon as the man walked up to his window, the police officer shot through his window and shot the man within 1 second.
Right. There was no attack.
Now that police officer's lost his badge and his gun. In Atlanta, Georgia, a police officer, a criminal was running away. Didn't have a gun. Police officer shot him in the head from the back. Police officer in Atlanta, Georgia has been fired for using excessive force.
Step one.
Right, so we're making steps to hold people accountable for their actions. Another layer to this is also making sure that police officers who have to work day in and day out in neighborhoods that are very aggressive towards them and violent neighborhoods that sometimes maybe you need to now go work in a different neighborhood, fam. You've been in this neighborhood too long. You too tense.
And
you
also,
too wound up.
and also took the push for the whole mental health thing, man. I think people forget. They don't focus on it.
Mental health with police officers, right?
Of course.
And mental health in these hoods where there are a lot of violence.
Right.
Right? Mental health, you get one mental health exam before you get on the police department.
And imagine day to day
That's
the
nuts.
things you have to see. The things
So
you
you
have to
got
go
people
through.
been on the force 20 years that's had one mental... Fam, you need to get checked out.
Yeah.
just to make sure that you're good or get the help that you need or
probably
therapy.
once a year, you need to get checked out. You can't get
course.
checked out before you even enter the war.
Fam.
And now you've been through
Let me
all
take
of this
y'all somewhere
havoc.
else. I was having a conversation with a former LA SWAT team member who does weapons and tactical consulting for police departments around the country. He said the weapons training you get to be on a police force is around 900. He was, I think, 973 hours of weapons training. Ask me how much training, how many hours of training you need to be a hair and nail technician.
How many?
1,800 hours. So you mean to tell me I gotta do 1,800 hours to do somebody's hair and nails? But to get a bitch and a gun and walk the streets and have authority to kill somebody, I gotta do half that?
And that's what 900 and something of weapons training.
Yes.
I'm wondering, how about people training?
Well, that's a whole other
Is
level.
there any hours of people
And he
training?
was telling me that getting this to be pushed through is an uphill battle to get people more training. It's too complicated, so it's not happening.
It's too complicated. Wow.
But people are walking around out here making mistakes and dying and not being held accountable. So we're going to be covering all that tomorrow, 4 o'clock, right here on Hot 97. It'll be simulcast on WBLS. It'll be simulcast on WLIB. So all 3 stations, our sister stations, will be carrying this conversation tomorrow, 4 o'clock. All right?